Everyone's favorite TCG guessing game, staple or stinker. Today I'm here with popular Magic streamer.
busy I will
That's
be.
true. I'm doing good. How are you?
Are you excited to look at some Yu-Gi-Oh cards?
Yes, because I don't know anything. Like, I've seen the anime, that's it.
Like most people, kind of watched it as a kid.
Kind of watched it as a kid. It was at some point, like, on a streaming service, so I just put it on the side, and that's my Yu-Gi-Oh, like, knowledge.
Excellent. We have 25 years of cards to catch up with.
Okay.
I couldn't be more excited. Why don't you take a look at our first card? It is a spell card called Reinforcement of the Army.
Okay, so Reinforcement of the Army, it's a spell card. Add one level 4 or lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So it's kind of like a tutor effect, right?
It is a tutor, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tutor effect.
So similar to creatures in Magic, every monster in Yu-Gi-Oh has a type. Warrior is one of the many types.
Yeah, so we're basically just grabbing something, okay? And it virtually costs like nothing to cast, right? That's the thing.
That's the fun part.
That's the fun part in Yu-Gi-Oh.
You can play as many spell cards during your turn as you have access to, essentially.
Okay.
Unless they tell you otherwise, but this one does not.
So this is kind of like, so what you're trying to do is you're trying to psych me out. You're going to give me a tutor effect that's free to cast. And as a Magic player, I'm sitting here and like, yeah, this has to be cracked.
Yep.
I want to say it's a stinker.
Okay, so tutoring in Yu-Gi-Oh not quite strong enough, even if it's free.
I think it can be, but I don't know if like a warrior monster with that level is the way. I don't know. Is that true?
Okay, that's it. Very interesting. I love it. You're already in that space.
It's broken.
So many people come in here, they're like, oh, you're mind gaming me.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting psyched out.
Sadly, this card is very old, and in fact, it is so strong.
Oh, okay.
ROTA, Reinforcement of the Army, has become a fan term for other cards that have been printed with this sort of tutor effect.
I see.
This is sadly very much a staple, and it has one copy allowed in your deck. You can't play three of it.
So there's like a bunch of like really powerful warriors that you can grab with this then. It's like turn 1 kills. That's all I know about Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's kind of that thing where they have to either outright ban this card, which they don't really want to do, or the design of level 4 and lower warriors for the last 20 years have all been influenced by the fact this card exists.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Very recently, we got a card called Bonfire, which is the same effect, but it's for a Pyro monster. And the best deck in the game used it to get all their starter cards.
Okay, right.
So yes, here's the thing. It's free. It's a tutor.
I got baited. Yeah, I got baited. I felt like, is that really what you want to do with Yu-Gi-Oh? But yeah, I guess if those warriors are like that busted, then it's like, okay, you know.
You have a chance every time.
We're
going to look at a level 4 warrior.
I see one you can grab.
This is a card you can get with Rhoda. This is Battle Survivor.
Okay, Battle Survivor. I'm going to read the card. 1600 attack, 800 defense, warrior effect. At the end of the battle phase, you can add one card from your graveyard to your hand, except Battle Survivor that was sent there during this battle phase while you controlled this face-up card. You can only use this effect of Battle Survivor once per turn.
The stars are the level of the monster. So if it's level 4 or lower, once per turn, you can normal summon it from your hand.
Right.
If it has more stars, then you have to like tribute stuff on your field to play it. But we're not really going to worry about that too much.
Interesting.
A bit more text on it.
A little bit more text on it. I do know Yu-Gi-Oh cards tend to have a lot of text. I'm kind of surprised to see this one. Should have also been a giveaway, probably.
I'm easing you into it. You know?
Yeah, okay. So,
So yeah, similar to Magic, in Yu-Gi-Oh we have our main phase where we do most of our normal playing cards. Then we have combat or battle phase where everything fights. And then afterwards we get a chance for a second main phase. So the idea is either during your turn or your opponent's turn, if something on your side dies and this is still on your field, you get to get something from your graveyard.
I see. I want to say it's good. And it's fully unplayable.
Any reason why?
I don't know. Like, if we're really caring about like tutor effects like that, I feel like you can do something similar with this. So that's kind of what I'm going off of. I don't know if the stats and defense are like too cracked, but I feel like the effect could be really good.
4-star monsters, it's like you want to be above 1500. Usually the effects are more important than the actual raw stats. But I will say, getting cards from graveyard seems good.
Yeah, but
Survivor seems
I made a
good.
mistake with this one, so we'll see. It's
Battle
unplayable.
Survivor is completely unplayable. It is
Can't
a
win, I can't
stinker.
win.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
As much as I love to do that to you, the problem with this card is it goes to battle phase, and you need to have this on your field. It needs to survive the battle phase. It gets you a card back, sure, but like ideally you want to be using your cards in your main phase to build a very strong board,
I see.
do a lot more stuff than just play a okay-ish statted guy that will maybe get you a card back.
I don't know. It's like maybe there's ways to like shove things in the graveyard, and like it's a way for you to grab something back
There
out.
definitely is. This is just a very inefficient way to do that.
Oh, there's just better than that. Yeah. Okay. I see.
Plus, with an effect like this, you know, if something dies during the battle phase, you bring it back. But like, then that also means like you're kind of killing your own stuff.
See, in Magic, we think that's great.
Yeah.
So, in Magic, it's like, yeah, this could be great, but yeah. Okay, interesting. I'm not doing good. I'm
That's
not doing
okay.
good.
It's we got three
Sure.
more cards coming up. I'm sure it'll all.
Maybe I
start.
can redeem myself. Yeah. Okay,
Card number 3. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Let's focus up. This is number 16, Shockmaster.
Okay, this looks badass. 3 level 4 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card to declare one card type, monster, spell, or trap. That type of card, if spell or trap, cannot be activated. Or if monster cannot activate its effects, end of your opponent's next turn. I would say that's good. I would say that's like hateful. Like
I don't
surely.
need anything else. It's good.
Surely. That seems really like a hateful effect, right? That you can like. It's also got the 4 stars, so you could lead off with it and like shut your opponent down or something.
Yeah, so I should explain how you summon this. Is it important?
I don't know.
So this is an Xyz monster. It comes from the extra deck, which is 15 cards outside of your normal deck that are always there for you to access. In order to bring him out, the requirement is 3 level 4 monsters.
Oh, that's probably tough.
So if you have 3 battle survivors on your field, you can put them all together in order to make a Shockmaster out of your extra deck.
I see.
So then you get the hate effect.
So that makes it probably. I don't know. Now I want to say that seems pretty rough. As a Magic the Gathering gamer, that seems kind of rough to cast. But I don't know how many creatures you could dump on the turn and whether that's even worth doing.
I guess that is the question. The requirement to summon it versus
Yeah.
the effect, which after you read it, you said
The effect
you think it seems
is
crazy.
very good, I think,
Yeah.
right? Like that seems like if your opponent is doing exactly something focused around that and you can bring this guy out, maybe there's a way to like shut them down. But the cost seems pretty tough. 3 level 4s?
I will say that Monster Spell Trap are like, those are the 3 types of cards in the game.
Yeah, right.
So you get to pick 33% of the cards in the game that your opponent can.
I'm going to say it's good.
It is good.
Yes.
Your gut instinct was
All
spot
right.
on. This is an absolute staple. I think it's been banned since 2013 or
Right,
around
right.
there. It is very much the boss end monster of a combo deck that had no problem shooting out as many levels 4s as it needed. So you would end on this plus some other stuff and then pass it over to your opponent. They don't even get to play the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Very crazy card, can
Yeah.
literally never come back. So yeah, your gut instinct was spot on.
So like the 3 level 4 monsters is like so easy to do. You could just do that in like a turn or something.
Even
I guess.
over 10 years ago, it was
Yeah.
trivial. Absolutely trivial to do that.
Okay. It looks cool too. It definitely looks like a scary card as well for what
Yeah.
it's worth.
Yeah.
You know. This one
Online.
doesn't look that scary, but apparently.
Rhoda's a
Yeah,
lot,
you know.
yeah, that's a lot less
Yeah,
imposing
yeah.
than Shockmaster is, but there you go. You got one.
I got one. We're not completely washed. Let's
Yep.
go.
That's right. No more goose egg. Let's keep it going. Card number 4. This is Rampaging Smash Tank Rhino Saber. Talk about imposing cards.
Rhino Saber. It does look scary. Machine Synchro effect? 1 turner, 1 non-turner monster. So that's like an additional cost for it or something.
A tuner is a subtype of monster,
Okay.
sort of like warrior, so you could be a warrior tuner.
Yeah, an extra effect.
It's
Okay,
an
right.
extra
type.
type.
Yeah.
And to make synchro monsters, you need a tuner and a non-tuner. In this case, the levels have to add up to the level of the synchro you're making.
Okay.
Also coming from the extra deck.
Okay, I'm gonna read the text, a lot of it. So you can discard any number of cards. This card gains 700 attack for each card discarded. Okay. At the end of the battle phase, if this card battled, you can send this card to the graveyard. Special summon monsters from your graveyard whose total level equals 7, except Rampaging Smash Tank Rhino Saber. but their effects are negated. You can only use each effect of Rampaging, Smash Tank, Rhino Saber once per turn. Okay, there's a lot of text happening here.
There's a lot of, it's doing a couple different things. The main thing is similar to Shockmaster. It comes out of your extra deck when you meet the requirement on your field.
Yeah.
You have a tuner and a non-tuner, the level's 7. You throw them away and you bring this guy up.
Yeah.
Then you can discard a bunch of cards, boost its attack with it, and then after you attack with it, if you don't want it anymore, you can actually bring back the cards that you used to summon it.
So I assume this thing is capable of, like, you know, like one-hitting somebody.
I mean, it has 2,400. It gets 700 per card you discard.
Yeah.
And your starting life is 8,000. So you're not quite
there.
gonna get to one-hit potential, but you know,
It's close. It's close.
You know,
yeah.
in combination with some other stuff.
So-
who knows what can
Okay, interesting. I like that you said, who knows what could happen.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Who knows what
Interesting.
can happen?
Okay, we don't know what can happen. Yeah, the discard effects also, like in Magic the Gathering, like free discards like that could really mean something valuable for the game. I don't know how that works in Yu-Gi-Oh! Though.
Yeah, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There is also cards that care about.
I comboed extra hard just to end on the exact same thing anyway.
If you wanted to dump stuff and then revive it or whatever, that's a choice. There is a difference between discarding for cost and discarding for effect in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
That's the rules lawyer part of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I see.
In general, putting stuff in your graveyard can be advantageous for sure.
I think it's not good.
You think it's not good?
I don't know.
Not
like,
feeling the Rhino Saber.
I don't know if I'm feeling it like that. Because you also said that there's like different ways to like cards that care about being just like discarded to cost and not. So like it doesn't necessarily one hit. It does hit for a lot, but it's also like the casting cost. You do need the the tribute or whatever you were talking about. It's not something. I don't know. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to win maybe there's a card that I don't know of that makes it like a turn 0 kill or something that I don't know. But to me, it reads like it would be, I don't know.
Turn 0 kill with the Rhino Saber.
I don't think it's possible.
Not possible.
Okay.
This is a stinker. Very hilarious and cool artwork.
Yeah.
But sadly, this just doesn't do enough. I mean, you compare it to Shockmaster,
Right,
which cuts out 1/3 of the cards in the game.
Yeah.
And you say, yes, it's boosting attack, but like hitting for big damage, there's got to be something better I can do than that.
Yeah, I felt like it was a little too fair for Yu-Gi-Oh! I think. From what I have Yu-Gi-Oh! Pictured in my mind, I feel like that's too fair.
It's like, if this doesn't win me the game on the spot,
right, we don't want it.
not interested. Unless it's Battle Survivor. We want to play the Battle Survivor.
Exactly, that's the most cracked card in the game.
Your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! card.
My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! card.
Not too bad.
I'm doing better.
2 and 2?
I'm doing better.
So this is your chance.
This is my last shot.
You'll slide into 3 on one side, the win or the loss. It all comes down to Nibiru the Primal Being.
Okay.
This is the one with the most text on it, so I saved it for last.
All right. So yeah, this is a lot to cast. There's a lot of these star thingies.
Thankfully, the level is not going to matter, as you will see once you.
Okay, interesting. So first, the attack is 3,000, defense is 600. It's a rock effect. During the main phase, if your opponent normal or special summon 5 or more monsters this turn, quick effect. You can tribute as many face-up monsters on the field as possible, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. Then special summon 1 Primal Being token
I made a mistake.
to your opponent's field. This token, attack and defense, become the combined original attack and defense of the tribute monsters. You can only use the effect once per turn. Okay, so we're basically casting it for free, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not how evenly matched work.
Is meant that your opponent has summoned 5 or more times. At instant speed, essentially, you can special this to your field, and everything else dies and turns.
We screwed.
That's got to be cracked. That's got to be cracked.
Token with all the attacks.
Surely that's cracked. Surely that's good.
You think so?
I'm saying it's good.
You got nothing else to say.
It's got to be good. It's got to be good. Yeah.
Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, we summon so much, and
I imagine yes. I think it's good.
Yeah, this card's
Oh, let's go. No, I would imagine.
I can't even try to fool you with this one. It's just so good to just, your opponent has all these cards, they're doing so many things, and then in the middle of their huge combo, you just say, actually, I'm going to turn everything into one big rock. Good luck with the rest of your turn.
I'm happy that I got 3 out of 2.
Yeah, so there you go. Your Yu-Gi-Oh! Intuition grew as we played.
It's true, actually, yeah. I I was thinking you were trying to psych me out with the first one, but then I was like, you know what? Some things just gotta be good. Like this effect especially, I'm like, there's no way.
Shockmaster, truly one of the best cards ever made.
Would you say it's the best one out of like all of these?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. This was a completely format morphing card.
Sure, yeah.
It ended games so often. There was nothing you could do about it, especially back in 2013 when we didn't have a lot of the stuff we have now that if it were to come back, it would be easier to play around, but it would still be like an absolute nightmare. So there you go, 3 out of 5. You know more about Yu-Gi-Oh than you thought.
I guess so. I don't even know how a game plays out, but yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. If you want to check Ash out, we'll have all our links all over the place. And you want to check out more Stapler Stinker, we got plenty of them on the channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. How's that?
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, I was like, this is either so correct or it's absolutely worth nothing. And then I was like, you have a Magic player in front of you and you're giving him a tutor. I feel like, because tutors are worth so much in Magic.
That's right.
Surely it's gotta. I was like, you're trying to trick me.
I didn't think that through very well. Shit, I sided out Nibiru actually. Wait, shit, fuck, I'm locked out. I forgot. Why can I not negate? I don't even like Sky Strikers. Why am I? It's a war out there every day. You cannot hide from it, you gotta play by the rules, play it cool, gonna laugh in the face of the saddest screen. When your friends and foes look alike, on the face of it, they miss their history. But they fight over place in it. They fight over place in it. Not hit by the times, that's just how your life goes by. I know it's not your fault, just say, but there ain't no other way. Ironically, gold sarcophagus could still mean they're playing branded. You cannot hide from it, you gotta play by the rules, play it cool, gonna laugh in the face of the saddest screen. Your friends and foes look alike, on the face of it, they miss their history. But they fight over place in it. They fight over place in it. Not hit by the times, that's just how your life goes by. I know it's not your fault, you say, but there ain't no other way. down, it's up to you to get to where you wanna be. Now make your movement. Your back, so don't you look back.
Pokemon is a game that allows you to create seemingly limitless team combinations. You could have some classic powerhouses, a bunch of randos, or a single rat. The possibilities are endless. However, there are a finite number of Pokemon, which means that there must be a finite number of possible teams. But how many are there? Well, that question can get pretty complicated. But when has that ever stopped me before?
They lost connection, God.
This is every single possible Pokemon team. Richard, hit that intro. So, how do we go about solving this? Well, there are over 1,000 different Pokemon in existence at this point, and you can pick any 6 of them to be on your team. You're allowed to repeat Pokemon, you can choose to leave slots empty, you can have them in any order, and already things are getting a little out of hand. So, let's start by looking at a simplified problem. Instead of looking at the full set of Pokemon, let's look at a world where these games were really not that exciting and only included 6 possible Pokemon to choose from to fill your 6-slot team. And again, for simplicity's sake, let's say that you can't leave any slot blank and you cannot repeat any Pokemon on your team, right? Nobody wants 2 Rattatas. Well, let's look at this. To start, you have 6 empty slots and 6 possible Pokemon to choose from. So let's choose Bulbasaur. For your next slot, you've already picked Bulbasaur, so now you only have 5 choices. Let's take Pikachu. And now for your 4th slot, you only have 4 choices. Let's keep going and filling out how many choices you have until you reach the end, where your only choice is Electro. Because let's be honest, nobody wants Electro. Alright, so now we have how many Pokemon you had to choose from at any given point. And these numbers don't change no matter who you picked. If we picked Pikachu first, you'd still have 5 possible choices for your second slot. So, how do we take this information and figure out how many possible teams there are? Well, first you had 6 choices. Each of those 6 choices would lead to 5 more choices. And each of those 5 would lead to 4 more. So, as it turns out, in order to find all the possible ways you can arrange these 6 Pokemon into 6 slots, you can just multiply these together. 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And in math, there's a nice little shorthand way to represent this, which is called factorial. It's basically when your numbers start yelling at you. 6! So in this example, there are 720 ways that you can arrange 6 Pokemon on your team. That was pretty easy.
I hate bricking with Dotscaper.
there are a bit more than 6
I have a
Pokemon.
card that's dead in my hand.
So let's take a look at a slightly more complicated example. What if there were 10 Pokemon in existence? Well, now for your first slot, you'd have 10 options. For your second, you'd have 9, all the way down to 5 for your last. Now, we could do this by hand, multiplying them all together, but when you get into bigger scenarios, that's going to get annoying. So let's find a little shortcut. What we're doing here kind of looks like a factorial, except we're not going all the way down to 1. We're stopping partway through. But how do we represent this mathematically? Well, in math, the opposite of multiplication is division. So if we divided this by 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, we could just scratch out all those terms and be left with only the numbers that we want. And if you take away the scratches, you'll see that this can really be written out as 10 factorial over 4 factorial. Where did that 4 come from? Well, we really just took the number of Pokemon that we had and subtracted the number of slots. So this is really 10 factorial divided by 10 minus 6 factorial, for a total of 151,000 possible teams. Just a little bit more. Let's make this a bit more general and replace the number of possible Pokemon, or the options that we have to pick from, with the letter N, and the number of possible slots, or the amount of things that we're choosing, with K. Don't know why it was these letters specifically. Some mathematician once upon a time just picked them, and we're gonna roll. This is the general formula to calculate any permutation. A permutation is a set of things where the order of those things is important. However, in a game of Pokemon, you're free to swap around the Pokemon in your party whenever you want. So the order that you receive them in doesn't actually matter. A Pokemon team is an example of a combination set, a collection of things where the order is not important. So we need to modify our equation a bit and figure out a way to remove all the repeated sets that are just the same team arranged in a different order. How do we do that? Well, let's go back to our original example of arranging 6 Pokemon on a 6-member team. We found that there were 6 factorial ways to arrange that team, but every single one of those permutations is the exact same combination of members. No matter how you arrange them, it's the same 6 guys every time. And that holds true no matter what these Pokemon are. So, for every combination of 6 Pokemon, there are 6 factorial permutations. To make it more general, we can replace that 6 with a K again. So, if there are K factorial permutations per one combination, that means that the number of permutations will always be K factorial times greater than the number of combinations. So if we want to adjust our formula to find just combinations instead, we can simply divide it by K factorial. This gives us a new formula to find the total number of combinations of Pokemon teams regardless of the order. When you're talking about Pokemon, K will always be 6. You always have 6 slots on your team. And if you were playing the original Pokemon Red and Blue with 151 Pokemon, you could plug in 151 for N and find that there are 14,888,600,755 possible team combinations. However, this is assuming that you cannot repeat Pokemon on your team, which, to be fair, most people won't. Unless you happen to be a random NPC chilling on Route 6, there's no reason for you to have 3 pigeons. However, this isn't a video about the total number of probable teams. and I want to be inclusive to all my NPC friends out there. So let's adjust our formula just a little bit more to allow for repeated picks. Let's go back to our basic example one last time. 6 Pokemon, 6 slots. But now you're allowed to use the same Pokemon twice. So what's really changing here? Well, we're not changing the way that we pick Pokemon or what we care about, but the total number of Pokemon that we have to choose from is changing. That may sound a little confusing, but look at it this way. Say you choose a Bulbasaur for your first one. Well, since you can pick Bulbasaur again, we need to add another Bulbasaur back into the pool. If we picked Bulbasaur again, then you need to add in another Bulbasaur. Then if we picked Pikachu, we'd have to add in another Pikachu, and so on until we're done, and we don't need to add anyone else back in. Basically, we're replacing each Pokemon in the pool as we take them. So, if we picked 6 Pokemon, then we would have to add in 5 more to the pool. You don't need to replace the last one since you're done, so there's nothing else to pick. So it doesn't actually matter. So, the general formula for the number of Pokemon added would be K minus 1, since again, you don't need to replace the last one. So, our final pool of Pokemon is N, the total number, plus the K minus 1 that we added in. So in reality, this was the pool of Pokemon that we had to choose from, which goes in the factorial in place of N. We call this combinations with replacement. Again, in our case, K will always be 6. And if you were looking at the original Kanto games, N would be 151. Now, I could dramatically reveal how many that would be, but we're actually not quite done yet. There's still one more thing that we need to add in. In Pokemon, you don't technically need to fill in every slot. You could leave some blank. Now, don't worry, accounting for this is actually really easy. We can just imagine adding in another new Pokemon to our set that's just blank. I don't know, maybe like the Missing No guy. So, effectively, our set of selectable Pokemon, or N, is 1 greater than what we think. So we can just replace every N with an N plus 1. However, this could result in one tiny edge case, a team with 0 filled slots. In the game Pokemon, you aren't allowed to progress without any, well, Pokemon. The name on the box. So we need to just chuck that one scenario in the trash and subtract 1 from our total, leaving this as our final formula for every possible number of teams for any Pokemon game. Just plug in your value for N and let the math do the rest for you. Now, admittedly, this is a lot of work to do by hand, but this is the 21st century, so I've taken the liberty of including a calculator in the description down below. Just save a copy of the spreadsheet to be able to edit it, type in any N you want, and it will give you the total number of team combinations in a second. You can choose how granular you want to be with this. Maybe you only want to include fully evolved Pokemon, or you want to go absolutely nuts and find every single possible combination of moves, stats, and levels for every single Pokemon. I leave that up to you. But I know you're here for one of 2 reasons. Either you have a really cool teacher who showed you a video about Pokemon to trick you into learning about combinations and permutations. Hey, where'd it go? You know what's up. Or you like really big numbers. Well, don't worry, I've got a big one. Currently, there are 1,025 Pokemon in existence. Assuming you had a game where every single one of them was available, there are a grand total of 1 nonillion 841 octillion, 898 septillion, 868 sextillion, 17 quintillion, 577 quadrillion, 8 trillion, 379 billion, 797 million, 657,599 possible Pokemon teams. For reference, because that is an incomprehensibly large number, that is roughly 1 trillion times more than the number of grains of sand on planet Earth, 1,000,000 times larger than the number of stars in the universe, or 1,000 times greater than the number of atoms in the human body. And yes, that does mean that your body contains roughly 35,000 times more atoms than the universe has stars, which I think is pretty
No!
So there you go.
I can't
A quick
detect the
math
griffin
lesson
because of the
and
fucking
fun
field
fact.
spell!
If you like math, science, engineering, and video games, stick around. I do a bunch of stuff like this, and I'm sure you'll like it. Alright, well, hopefully this was a fun little break from your class, but I'm gonna have to let my main man, Mr. Brown, take over. Hey, put it right there. Most of you are probably super confused right now, but I hope there's at least one class that's absolutely losing their mind. How did he know? How did he know about Mr. Brown? Oh my god, that's you! That's you right there, Mr. Brown! He guessed it! And a massive thank you to all my supporters on Patreon, including Alakazam, Aspa102, Big Dog Tie 4 to Win, Captain Kirby, Sidian, Sherry and Mark, Stylish, The Boss Killer 94, Tricks of Crows, and did you know that the character limit on the Patreon name is very high? Well, it is high enough, in fact, that I could name myself M. Thanks, M.
Oh, this is a hand. Out of all the hands I could have, this is certainly one of them. Did I say that torrential? I don't think full force virus is all that good, honestly. None of the virus cards right now are good. Unless you can resolve multiple of them somehow. And if you can do that, you're already winning to begin with anyhow. I think I should just run more hate cards.
One further thing I wanted to quickly check out regarding the TCG is the new Odeon deck has topped a regional. Let me quickly grab that for you. It is on Galzo's channel, and I did want to give that a quick watch. Because I've been wanting to I actually have a I have the cards here, and I did want to make a deck profile for it on how I was gonna like try and build it, but they did beat me to it, and they already taught the regional with it. I was gonna go to locals with it yesterday, and then they canceled my locals because the store owner was sick, so that was unfortunate. But here we are. Let's go ahead and check out the first in the world Odeon regional top. Why is there no audio?
Shit, I can't get two bodies out.
Today we got an absolute treat for you because we think this is probably the first Odeon top in the world. Congratulations. What is your name and what did you do today?
Hi, I'm Hadar Marom, and I got 7th place at the regional with Odeon. Yes, Odeon's endless trap strategy.
Insane. Okay, show us the group. Congratulations.
All right, well, we'll start with the list, and then I'll talk about the combo that I came up with. So, of course, we play as many starters as possible. We play, 3 Man with the Mark.
Man!
3 Anubis, the Last Judge. We also play 3 Treasures of the Kings. And to round out our starters, we play Terraforming, 2 Small World, which any hand trap can get you to either Anubis or the Man with the Mark, so you can start your combos, and we play 1 Pot of Prosperity for safety.
Good.
For the rest of the Odeon engine, I played 1 Merciless Scorpion of Circuit. This is I felt in the combo, a really important extender. It's usually what gets you to Temple of the Kings, because Man with the Mark wants to search the field spell. If you already have the field spell, you might want to search Temple of the Kings with Man, but it's also better to search Verdict of Anubis a lot of times, which is another card we play.
Tell the people at home what Verdict of Anubis does, because this card is kind of crazy.
So, Verdict of Anubis says that when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, while I have 3 or more other spells or traps, I can negate it, the activation, and then if I control Temple of the Kings, I can just Raigeki their board and deal half the total attack to them as damage.
How many times did you resolve this card today?
I lost count, but this card was game determinative a lot of times.
Insane.
The crazy thing about this card is that because people all the time know you have it, they will funnel themselves away from playing into it until they don't have a choice, and when they don't have a choice, you flip it and you win the game.
Crazy. Love it.
We also play 2 Temple of the Kings.
2?
I was on a 1 for a long time in testing, and I eventually decided to play 2.
Motherfucker.
There's multiple reasons. The main one is I know this local has a lot of Cashier players, and they didn't want Rise Heart sniping my only copy.
I generally don't think that 2 of that is the right call for this kind of deck. But if it's like I'm adapting to my local metagame, then that's fair enough.
But also people will who catch on to what you're doing.
Because like the thing with this card is I think you only have a problem if it gets banished, because you can recycle it from the graveyard relatively easily. But I also don't think that's even that relevant right now, because if you ever get to the point where this deck sets up with the Temple of the Kings, you're probably fine regardless. But if it's like a meta call because they got like a bunch of Kashtira players, then
we'll try to SP this card away, and having a second one in the pocket is really good. Plus, opening it isn't bad. It means you don't need to waste a search on it. You can search Verdict of Anubis instead.
If you can play, and if there's no Rise Yield Detonator and you're going second, of course. Like generally, I would not say drawing that card is good.
For the Apophis traps, I played 2 Apophis the Serpent.
What does this card do?
This card, you can special summon it as a trap monster, and then immediately set an Apophis trap from your deck, and you can use it the same turn, but you cannot set Apophis the Serpent. So the main thing you're setting is this bad boy wins me every game ever.
So this is Desiree, basically, right?
Yes, this card, when you activate it, it summons itself, then negates up to the number of other continuous traps you control.
So it's minimum 1.
Well, it's minimum 1 if you summon with Apophis the Serpent. It doesn't count itself.
It doesn't count itself. Okay.
I also played 1.
If this card counted itself, it would be so broken. People would be playing that in other decks if it counted itself. If you could just activate this to negate a spell card.
Of the brick, embodiment of Apophis.
So why do you play this?
It's part of the combo. The idea is that
surely those ratios should be swapped. No, I don't think so. I think there's even an argument to make Apophis the Serpent a 1-of, because this one's once per turn, this one is not. So essentially your goal is to set up, if you can, as many of these as possible. And if you draw 1 or 2 of them, as long as you can play, you can set up more of them and you're fine. Like you basically, as long as you can play the game, you can never have enough of this one. The other one is a 1 or 2 of, I think, because it's just like it's very good going first to just draw it, but yeah.
This bad boy, Statue of Anguish pattern.
This card is crazy in this deck.
Embodiment of Apophis represents another pop in your end board, which means more interaction, which means your opponent has a harder time playing.
I don't like the quantity of trap monsters here. Okay, I have something to say about this, but I will let them explain first.
The best card in my combo, and the card I cooked this entire deck around, is Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
Woo! What does it do?
Lord of the Heavenly Prison says that you can reveal it to ensure that all your set cards cannot be destroyed while it's revealed. And then you can't use both its effects in the same turn. If a face-down card, like a set card, is activated, you can special summon it. Then if it was revealed, you may set another spell or trap directly from your deck, any spell or trap.
And
combined with Temple of the Kings, which means you can set any trap in your deck and immediately use it in that turn.
Oh, whoops.
Lord of the Heavenly Prison with Temple of the Kings is very, very disgusting and dangerous. That is very powerful.
Then I just played a bunch of hand traps. I played 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 3 Purulia, which actually did come up a few times in my games, 3 Veiler, 3 Ogre, and 3 Impa.
See, I had a feeling it would end up like this. I had a feeling this deck would end up looking something like this. I don't know exactly how they're getting to the One of Lord yet. It must be a Gallant Granite thing, right? But yeah, I'll let him finish and then.
Nice. Any changes you would have made to the main deck?
Like I said, I'm considering cutting Temple of the Kings back to 1. The question really is like, how much do I respect Kashtira, and also how much do I
respect you?
Exactly, and also how much do I care if they get rid of it? Because if I'm already set up, I generally don't need it anymore. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to have the second one for sure.
Nice.
I also might cut Apophis the Swap Deity to 2. The third one did come up today and won me the game, and it can, in the grind game, you really want the third one, but you generally don't want to reach the grind game because this deck is actually more explosive than it appears.
Okay, wait, but one thing we haven't talked about is the only non-Apophis continuous trap in the main.
That's right. Statue of Anguish pattern is basically...
Buyout.
Is insane. It basically says that you can special summon it as an effect monster with 2500 defense. It's a big boy. It cannot be targeted, if I remember correctly, while I control another trap card that is a monster. Yes, this wasn't relevant today. And also, anytime you special a trap monster, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. And this isn't once per turn, so
it's a very, very powerful card. Like you just basically Anguish pattern turns all your other trap monsters into a pop. Like it's absurd.
This means that you can trigger this multiple times, even multiple times in a chain if you summon multiple trap monsters separately in a chain.
So guys, you see, this is Detonator, this is Desiree. We basically have Ryzel Kingsmith here.
Yeah, if you go first.
Okay. Nice, let's go to the extra deck.
All right, let me just...
How many cards in the main?
43. It's 40 plus 3 Purulia.
40 plus 3 Purulia.
I decided that my worst matchup was Ryzel, which I did not actually play today.
Nice.
And
that explains some things.
I wanted to respect Ryzel as much as possible, which means I need to draw the Imperm or the Slayer for the Detonator, which means I want Purulia.
Right.
But here's the thing, right? Even before we go into the extra deck, and I hope they show their combo as well, what we've done here is, from my perspective, both cool and also not cool in some other ways, but that's not their fault. I think what they've done is they've built this deck the correct way. From my perspective, this is the right way to do it, because unfortunately, the way this deck is designed, it is kind of like it looks like a trap deck. It's trying to tell you, hey, I'm a trap deck, but it's not really a trap deck because it just revolves around some essentially 1.5 card combos that get you to a full back row lineup. depending, I've seen different combos throughout the internet on what you can do with like a Man with the Mark or Anubis or whatever, and it's just like you can't even play this deck as a real trap deck, because if you draw, let's say you draw the Man with the Mark and you draw 3 or 4 trap cards with it, you never have space to set those trap cards. You don't have space for those trap cards because the Odeon cards themselves, they take up like 3 or 4 slots in your spell and trap zone. So what are you gonna do with those other trap cards? Like, you can't set it. You can't do anything with it. Like Temple of the Kings takes up 1 slot. Apophis the Serpent or whatever takes up a slot. Apophis the Swamp Deity, Statue of Anguish pattern. Like, if you have the setup that this deck is trying to go for, it gets you 4 back row without like anything else. So like you can't set any of your other trap cards. So you cannot really play this deck as a trap deck, really. It's just gonna be basically a combo deck in the sense that, like, you're trying to resolve your 1-card combo off of Odeon or whatever. You're gonna set up a whole bunch of back row. It's just basically a combo deck, but instead of having your end board pieces in your extra deck, it's trap cards in your main deck.
Okay, so for the extra deck, we play the best boy, 2 Silhouette Rabbit.
Let's go. Got an ultimate rare, especially for the down.
It's Rescue Ace. It's kind of like Rescue Ace, a little bit, just a little bit.
What does this card do?
This card, when it's linked up...
Which, by the way, does not mean that it's bad. It's just not exactly what I expected when they announced the Odeon cards. Like, it's not a bad concept at all. It just happens to be released at a time where continuous trap cards are particularly bad because of Ryziel. And in general, the concept of having to rely on so many trap cards to get in your combo is not the greatest, because guess what? Those cards are not going to help you much going second into boards. Like, if let's say you hand trap Ryziel twice and they still end on Detonator, if you have 1 or 2 of those trap cards in your hand, which is realistic, they will not help you immediately to beat any board.
You can set a continuous trap that summons itself as a monster in your deck, and then you can't use it as a link material that turn. Also, if you summon a trap monster, you can pop a spell and trap your opponent controls.
So it essentially can get to your Apophis spell.
Yes, but more importantly, it gets to Statue of Anguish pattern.
It's not searchable, except for Lord, I guess. But yeah.
We also play 1 Gallant Granite to search the Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
Okay.
And as part of the engine, we play 2.
I'm pretty sure the 1-card combo can get to both Granite and Rabbit. I'm pretty sure it's like, because Man with the Mark is a level 4, you're going to go ahead and grab, like, one of the Apophyses is a level 4 as well. So I'm pretty sure you just make Gallant Granite with Man with the Mark and one of the Apophis, and then you turn those into Silhouette Rabbit, and then you're Gucci, basically, right? So you have like a bunch of your trap cards, you have Temple of the Kings, you have Lord of the Heavenly Prison, you have a Silhouette Rabbit, and that's like your setup.
Flying Serpent Apophis. This card on your 2nd turn, basically the 3rd turn of the duel if you're first, just wins you the game immediately.
Does that exist in Yu-Gi-Oh?
It existed for me today, every round almost.
What does it do? Why does it win the game?
You can contact fuse it with any 2 Apophis monsters, and then once per turn it can set and up to 3 Apophis traps with different names from your graveyard. And if you summon a trap monster once per turn, it can destroy a card by just like.
So it's essentially like addition.
It's so weird you don't want to do the fusion turn one because it plays into Nip and the Granite line is just better. Can I just say that when they announced a fusion deck around Odeon, I did not expect it to have that problem. I did not expect that we'd be sitting here and talk about how does this play around Nib the best. That is not what I expected or wanted from the Odeon deck, but here we are.
Silhouette Rabbit.
It's like another Anguish pattern, but it's only once per turn.
So Silhouette Rabbit, okay, so.
All the Apophis monsters are normal monsters, so we play 2 Link Spider and an SP so that we can remove some sticky things. Obviously, 2 of them are level 4, so we play a Redoer.
Oh, that's
came
fun.
up and was
That's fun. That's fun. The fact that you can make a Redoer with a trap attached, I like that.
In my last game, it just won me the game. We play one Typhon for sticky situations. Typhon let me basically somewhat play around the Zeus for a little bit. I also play the Zeus, just in case. We play one very niche card, I might cut it, Constellatomy M7.
Oh yeah, Swamp
You
Deity
can make
is a
this with
6.
Circuit plus the level 6 Apophis, the Swamp Deity. And recycle your Lord of the Heavenly Prison, recycle hand traps. It's not bad, and obviously it can go into Zeus. And we play the 3 Ultimate Slayer targets.
Sick. Any changes to the X-Work?
I was really flip-flopping on...
Interesting that there's no Bucephalus for Ultimate Slayer, because I think that makes it a lot better into Link decks, but maybe they were just not trying to side it into Link decks.
The second Apophis, I might cut it for something else, but everything else I was really happy with.
Do you think like you were missing maybe a rank 4 that could like clutch a situation because there's so many that are good?
There are a ton that are good, but I think Redoer is just insane.
Okay, let's go to
The side deck, and then I'll talk about the combo.
How many cards in the deck today?
I think 15.
I hope so.
Okay, so my side deck is pretty much a war crime. First of all, for Malice, which I met twice today, I have...
It's every single side deck that I've been watching starts with this card right now. Every single one. It's not just the fact that it is in every side deck. Everyone starts with it because it's just like, let's get the obvious thing out of the way.
I didn't draw it once against Malice.
We might as well, look, we could just save ourselves collectively a whole bunch of time in deck profiles at the moment if we just showed the other 12.
Malice.
Good.
We play 3 Droll because I respected both Mermail and Tachyon FTK. I didn't want to lose to those decks, but I did lose to Mermail today.
Womp womp.
Yes, sir. Harpy's Feather Duster and 2 Lightning Storm for Blue Eyes and other back row decks. 3 Ultimate Slayer because, like I said, I really respect Ryzeal. It's the toughest matchup because Detonator just destroys your back row. And the 3 Silver Bullets to get off of Lord of the Heavenly Prison post side.
Uh-oh.
For Malice, we have Imperial Iron Wall, which will stay permanently because Lord of the Heavenly Prison cannot banish it during the next end phase because cards cannot be banished. For almost everything else, Different Dimension Ground, and also for Ryzeal Dimension.
Man, can I just say, look, they probably built this deck the right way, okay? To me, this looks like the best way to play this deck, and it's not even close. But I don't like how this turned out. I don't like how they made a trap deck, and the deck is just... I have a 1-card combo that gets me to all of my traps. So I don't even play any other trap cards. I just play the normal 18 hand traps. I resolve my 1-card combo that gets me, instead of making a huge board, I make like 1 or 2 monsters and 4 back row. And then also I grab Lord of the Heavenly Prison. So the only other traps that I play in my deck is these. So like, from a modern Yu-Gi-Oh perspective, they've done everything right. You know, this is the right way to play the deck. I guarantee you, it's just not how I wanted it to turn out, I feel like.
Okay, sick. You want to show us the combo?
Yes, sure.
So basically what, is it like a 1-card combo?
Yes, any of the starters basically gets you to the full combo, if uninterrupted, obviously, and then you can sometimes extend through it.
All right. So this is a world first combo. I think Jared was going to make a video about it, but hopefully we beat him to it.
Okay.
He doesn't know the goo yet.
So let's say you open Anubis, the Last Judge.
Yes.
You go Anubis, he adds man with the mark.
Man!
You normal the man, search the field spell. Activate the field spell, set, and Apophis trap. Now, it's technically a 1.5 because you need anything else to set. So let's say you have Prosperity, you set it. Now you can search a monster with Treasures of the Kings.
So that's a monster that mentions Temple of the Kings?
Yes.
Okay.
So I will get Circuit. You summon Circuit by banishing a level 10 that isn't Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
No, but we play... Yeah,
Nibiru is
Fire,
a classic.
and searchable with Gallant Granite.
That's
you
true.
need to.
Circuit will search Temple of the Kings.
Okay.
You activate Temple. You flip Apophis the Servant because you can use one trap per turn. The turn is set.
And that's because of Temple of the King.
Yep. You set Apophis the Swamp Deity. You
Oh,
overlay
damn.
these two.
It is just when it leaves the link.
For
My bad, I made a mistake.
Gallant Granite. Gallant Granite detaches Apophis to search for Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Then Apophis will search Embodiment of Apophis.
Yeah, and that's the graveyard effect of this card.
Yep.
When it's sent to grave. This is like plus infinity.
Then you link these two into the good boy Silhouette Rabbit. Silhouette Rabbit's effect activates. You set Statue of Anguish pattern. And that's pretty much it. You set...
Look, your standard combo leaves you with 5 back row. How are you going to play this as a actual trap deck?
Embodiment of Apophis.
It's just a combo deck that has to play like 8 traps in the main deck, or I mean slightly less, but like 6 or something.
Activate Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
The setup is really good here, though. The setup is really, really good. Don't get me wrong.
And you end on this. And
So essentially, once you activate any trap,
yes,
you can
let's say your opponent passes turn. A lot of the time, I would just flip this in its draw phase. It summons itself, Lord will trigger.
Okay, so for some of these, I don't remember what exactly the reason is, but some of these trap monsters, don't they still take up a space in your spell and trap zone? Wasn't that a thing? Am I tripping? I assume Statue of Anguish pattern is not that way. Not anymore. But was that something that they changed? Okay.
I will summon it.
Then at least I'm not tripping and I don't misremember. I thought that used to be that with all the cards that say it's also still a trap card. Was that the thing? Don't say old Josh Classic. I'm just trying to clarify the ruling here, right?
And then I can set any trap for my deck. Game 1, I usually set the Verdict of Anubis.
and essentially because of Temple of the Kings, you can activate it this turn.
Yes.
It can also be any silver bullet. It could be Judgment.
Okay, so what you
yeah.
have is you have
This
Statue
is
of
my
Anguish
last one.
pattern, which you can summon Embodiment of Apophis or Apophis. I don't know how you pronounce it. People make fun of me for it. I don't know. So that's gonna pop a card. This Swamp Deity is gonna summon out, pop another card, negate up to 2 cards, including spell cards. This summons this negates a spell trap and Raigekis the opponent's board, and Silhouette Rabbit pops a spell trap.
Guys, it's not like Labyrinth where it's only
Normal traps. It could be any trap in the game.
any trap in the game.
Yes, I was on Judgment for a very long time in the side, and I decided to cut it in the end.
So you got pop, you got like 3 more pops, you got like an Omni negate,
So
spell negate.
let's just look. We have this is a negate, which will trigger this to pop. This is a pop off of this. It can also trigger this to pop. And if this trap is anything, if this says anything, it's another interruption. Plus you have the Omni, the spell and trap negate Verdict of Anubis that can get to your opponent.
Incredible. Congratulations.
Which is not bad, honestly. It's a scary endboard to go up against, considering it's off of, once again, it's off of 1 card.
Doing it. We always believed in you. You're the go. Any shout outs?
Yeah, shout out to David and Tommy for lending me all of the goddamn cards that came out 2 days ago. And shout out to Gal and everyone in the Discord server for helping me test the deck.
It's just essentially a solid deck, I think, from what I'm seeing. It's just I wonder how, like, for example, when you're comboing, right? Of course, if you get, let's say you get Effect Veilered or Impermed or Ashed on the man with the mark, probably fine, as long as you, because there's some redundancy here. Like, if you already have the card you were going to search, you can just keep going at all times. There are certain things that are not as easy to replace, like Ghost Ogre on this and stuff like that. So it's just something that if this combo gets stopped, suddenly the rest of your hand is probably just a couple of hand traps, which is fine. But like, I don't think this is a combo. Like, essentially, this is a fine combo deck, I would say. You can't ogre the field. Oh, if they start with the man, it's protected, but what if they start with the thing and they want to search the man with it or something like that? But yeah, man protects temple. Okay, sure. The way I feel about this deck is that I think it's better than I expected because it's kind of like a combo / mid-range deck. That probably makes it more viable in the sense of modern Yu-Gi-Oh decks, right? In like the context of modern Yu-Gi-Oh, if this was just a slow-ass trap deck, it probably wouldn't have worked very, very well. I don't really see exactly how this deck wins going second, because when you're looking at a mid-range / combo deck here, if you're evaluating it from that perspective, it's like it doesn't have that many starters. It doesn't have that many. It doesn't play super well into boards, I don't think. And it's gonna have a couple of trap cards in hand that won't help you yet. Of course, sometimes you can like search Temple of the Kings, and then activate Temple, and then turn one of your trap cards into basically an extender, right? Like if you have Apophis the Serpent in hand, and then you can search Temple of the Kings, you can activate Apophis, and then you set the other trap. It can be activated immediately. Like it gives you some extra pushes, but you have to be able to get to Temple of the Kings first, and your opponent has to not have Detonator. But at the end of the day, it also did have like what 15, 18 hand traps. They did go slightly over 40. So yeah, but it's not bad. It's not what I expected when the cards were announced. It was like announced that it was going to be a trap deck, which it's not really. But that probably makes it better. So.
My mind like Tokyo quick, like concentration. Be careful when agitated. Don't let anyone mislead you like you were nobody. It means so much to me.
Let's say a samurai is cutting rolled up mats at an angle with his sword. The next day, a daimyo or a yakuza boss or someone wants to know how good of a swordsman this guy is, so he has his men look through the trash, but the mats are all unrolled. Without re-rolling the mats, what angle did the swordsman cut? This problem is very similar to one that you've probably ran into at the grocery store. You're trying to find the best deal on toilet paper, but price per length is difficult to compare because every brand comes with a different number of rolls that are all a different radius with a different size tube and different perforation lengths, different thicknesses. So given a roll's radius, how much toilet paper do you get? I'll ask you one more question to get you thinking, and this scenario, unlike the other two, has some real published research behind it. You're an archaeologist, and you find a segment of a papyrus scroll that was damaged when it was still rolled up. How long is the rest of the scroll? The math behind all three of these problems is pretty much identical. You have some thin, flexible material that's rolled up, effectively a spiral, and the width is constant. It doesn't get thicker as you roll it, so this isn't a logarithmic spiral like a snail or a hurricane or a galaxy. It's an Archimedean spiral. In this video, we're going to solve these three problems and do an experiment to test our results. Let's start with the samurai problem. We'll pretend our rolled up mat is standing up along the z-axis, and the sword cuts into a perfect plane that increases along the x-axis. The cut makes an angle theta with the horizontal, and its center is a distance h from the bottom of the mat. We can see that the slope of this plane is tangent of theta, so the equation for the cut is z equals x tan theta plus h. We want to find where this plane intersects with the equation for the mat. I said before that the width of the mat doesn't change. In other words, the distance from the center constantly increases as the angle increases. This is the definition of an Archimedean spiral in polar coordinates. r phi equals something times phi, where phi is the angle and r is the distance from the center. If the width of the mat is w, then that something is w over 2 pi, since 2 pi radians is one full rotation, and at that point the radius should increase by w. The spiral is much easier to express in 2D polar coordinates, usually things with some kind of radial symmetry r. The slice, on the other hand, is easier to do in Cartesian, so we need to convert this equation in terms of x to an equation in terms of r and phi. You can do this with some trigonometry, and we get a nice equation for z. Plug in our equation for the spiral, and you get the height of the mat in terms of what angle you've traveled out of the mat's center. This equation does indeed give us a shape, but it's not the shape of the mat. For the very simple reason that when the mat falls to the ground and unrolls, we don't get to measure the angle that each part used to be at. We measure the distance from edge. So now we have a new goal. Find the distance along the spiral in terms of the angle passed through the spiral. This problem is not insanely difficult. In fact, it could be a homework problem in a high school calculus class. However, I want to talk about this problem for way longer than you want me to because, 1, we need it for the toilet paper and papyrus problems, and 2, it teaches what is, in my opinion, one of the most important skills in physics. I will reveal this later. We're going to solve the problem in 3 different ways, going from smartest to dumbest, and at the end, we'll see which one does the best. Method number 1, find the arc length of the spiral. The distance of a very small segment of a curve in polar coordinates is given by the Pythagorean theorem. You just need to change in radius here, and the total radius times the angle to get this distance here. Rearrange and you get the equation for arc length that you've seen in your calculus textbook. Plug in our equation for the mat, and you need to solve an unfortunate integral. Find in a table of integrals, or type it into Wolfram Alpha, and you get this absolutely heinous result. This is the length of an Archimedean spiral. Method number 2. Find the arc length but with an easier integral. The distance along the spiral is basically just the sum of all very small tangential segments of the spiral. Yes, there is a tiny bit of radial distance that the spiral is constantly gaining as well, but as you wind up the mat more, those become smaller compared to the distance you're gaining in the other direction. So let's just ignore the radial component altogether. Now we get a very easy integral, and the answer is this. Method number 3. Pretend the spiral is many circles. Do no integrals. If the radial component is so much smaller than the tangential component, we might as well pretend that the radius never changes at all. Everyone knows the circumference of a circle, so let's just use that. You can treat each winding as a circle with its radius at the midpoint of the winding, then you add them all together. You end up needing the sum of all whole numbers from 1 to n, but that's easy too. You just add each big one to each small one, then multiply them all. Convert back from winding number to angle, and you have your answer. We have 3 answers from our 3 methods, so let's see which one seems right. First, we'll notice that method 2 and 3 differ only by a term of 5. I think it's safe to just ignore this. The majority of the length comes from the outside windings of the mat since they're longer, so if we're going to ignore any terms, they should be the ones that are smaller when phi is bigger. Phi squared grows faster than phi, so just erase this. These 2 methods gave us the same result. Next, we'll compare that to method number 1. Like I said, this is a pretty ugly equation, but we can take comfort in the fact that hyperbolic arcsine grows very slowly. So slowly compared to whatever this is, that it's almost surely safe to ignore it. Then we have to deal with this 1. Remember that we're measuring the angle in radians. 2 pi radians is 360 degrees, and our mat is rolled many times. By the time we get to, say, the 50th winding, we're looking at an angle of 314 radians. But then it's squared, so this is 98,596. Adding 1 to that does almost nothing. So, again, we can just ignore this. Ignoring the 1 and the hyperbolic arcsine, the answer from method number 1 is exactly the same as method number 2 and 3. If you don't believe that it's a good approximation, just look at a plot. When you zoom in, there is a little bit of a difference, but that difference becomes insignificant as the angle increases. In fact, if you remember that we're trying to measure an angle from a mat, it becomes really clear that the error of our ruler is going to be bigger than any error from making this approximation. So I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Doing more work does not necessarily get you a better answer. In fact, in many cases, it gives you a worse answer. One of the main reasons that we do math problems is to understand patterns, and if our patterns are full of stuff, then the real part, the important part, becomes obscured. When there are high-order terms that are insignificant compared to other ones, then just ignore them. If you really needed the extra precision that all that math would give you, then you would use a computer instead. Computers can handle the numbers, that's what they're made for. You should worry about the patterns. I could rant about this for a long time, but first let's finish our samurai problem. Now that we have this beautiful equation for the length of the spiral, we can invert it and plug it back into our equation for z. At a first glance, it might not be too pretty, but it makes a lot of sense if you take it apart. What we have is a sine wave that has been shifted up, that has been rescaled on the horizontal axis into a square root, so the waves get farther apart as you move outward on the mat. The envelope of this sine wave is also a square root, which corresponds to the fact that the waves get taller as we move to the outside of the cut angle. This all makes intuitive sense, so let's do an experiment to see how well our model fits our observations. I wound up this piece of foam, cut it around 45 degrees, and then unwound it and took a picture. I used a ruler in the picture to estimate the pixels per inch, and then ran the image through an edge detector and converted the pixels to XY coordinates. Then I entered our equation and found the parameters that fit the image best. You can tell visually that it fits the data pretty well. There seems to be some discrepancy near the edges, but that looks like it's more due to the camera's perspective distortion than of the approximations we made. According to the fit from our equation, the foam should be about 2 millimeters thick and the cut angle should be about 40 degrees. Both of these predictions are consistent with the actual measurements. I'll admit this method's estimate of the cut angle is not very precise because of the way the error propagates. I was only able to get it within 6 degrees or so, but at least our error estimate reflects this. In all honesty, if the daimyo's men really wanted to know what angle the swordsman cut at for some reason, they would probably be better off measuring the tiny angle that you can see along the mat's thickness. But if all you had was an image, or if this were paper or something else really
I believe that used to be downstairs
where
the kitchen,
I won't walk you through the toilet paper